get the wind blowing the hell out of us. We've got a very bizarre situation here where this is pretty much where the gap bridge used to be, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I know that the local kind of access has always been here. We're in an odd place now where we know nature is doing its thing, and we'd like to blame man as part of it, but it's definitely happening that the coast is eroding.
Yeah.
But you still hope now that to build like a proper steps down to this.
What we'd like to do is, our aim is to actually, to build proper steps down here to have access to the North Beach from directly across the railway tracks, as opposed to having to go down through the marina village to gain access to the North Beach.
Well, I know it's only about a 10-minute walk, but I know your hatred is strong for anything down that direction. You don't like the marina, but it does seem, if you're being devil's advocate, 10 minutes away there's a proper walk to the North Beach. The idea that we'd have to build a separate one for a few people who live here might seem, because it's a dangerous spot and because it's going to be difficult not to fall into erosion again in 5 or 10 years time or 20 years time. I mean, do you not see that there might be those who think, well, we can't access this beach, we shouldn't build a separate dangerous possibility?
Well, actually the access that's there at the moment is completely unacceptable. You have to climb up a huge thing, walk along the thing. It's actually quite dangerous. I've broken my leg on it.
Okay.
Do you know? So I'm not very confident on my legs walking down that way. However, I do think that the way down, just the access to the beach to avoid any traffic going down really around the marina area,
right,
would be nice.
But wouldn't the marina, they would have, I'm sure if it's not already there, and I thought it was quite easy to walk down onto the North Beach from, you know, when you're walking, doing the cliff walk, you come down steps, they're quite large steps down onto the North Beach. I thought that access was quite easy, or is it a difficult thing to get?
Which one are you talking about?
Well, just from the marina, when you're looking down there is steps onto the actual beach. You can see people down there on the beach itself. I mean, is access from there not easy? Do you have to climb rocks to get to this?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to climb down the thing. It's like a mud thing.
Right.
It's like a mud. It's not. There's no steps.
Okay.
What you're looking at down there is actually what the digger has just done. There's no steps.
Right.
And to get.
But I mean, beyond that, I was thinking about those actual steps. Will that not be an access point to the whole beach eventually? Will they not be able to give you access?
Well, if you have the tide in, the tide is out at the minute, and you go down those steps, you can't get around the rocks there. So the tide is way out at the moment. Which is fine, but for the most part of the time, the tide, you know tides yourself.
Yeah.
And so it is like, if the tide is, you can't access the beach that way.
But wouldn't it be probable that they would have to just make an access that's sort of basically central, that people coming along the walk from Greystones will have access down to it? The idea of coming here might be awkward for some people, because you're kind of coming down through, you could always clear it and all that, but it's down through, I presume, this land. I don't know who owns exactly all the land, and here's the farmers who are left.
That's why we want Wicklow County Council actually to attend the meeting tomorrow to find out exactly what land is that they're responsible for, who owns all of this. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
And has Marina Village people given you any indication that they have plans for real access? Because I mean, they're not finished, obviously, they're still only building the park and all that. I presume it's part of the plan to have some way of getting to the beach.
Honestly, I don't know. We've tried to set up a marina. I've gone down to the site foreman, and he's passed me on to the contracts manager about setting up a meeting with them to find out exactly what is, but unfortunately we haven't had any look. I think some of the councillors were at a meeting. Now,
I suppose just to wrap up, if there were steps built here, isn't it a strong chance in 10 years' time they wouldn't be secure, given the erosion that we deal with along this? Because this landscape, this whole front is changing all the time.
It is changing, and it's changing actually at a much quicker rate per year than they actually anticipated.
Right.
So that's fact, and that's evidence-based.
But that goes against the possibility of like just putting steps in, because that would be, you'd almost have to have them on wheels or on some sort of rubber suspension they'll just float whenever the tide takes them, or.
Well, if you look, I mean, isn't that the way some pontoons work? Do you know what I mean?
But they need something to grasp onto nonetheless, and if the earth is gone.
Yeah, but I mean, there is ways around it. We've seen people with the erosion with the river in Redford and that's what they've done.
Right.
So there is ways around it. It's just, we're just looking at possibilities.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on Friday's meeting, and hopefully there'll be a solution. But
that'll be at 3 o'clock.
It's a hell of a drop. Here we go.